Okay, we want to talk about step number one, the warm-up. The warm-up has two purposes. The first purpose is to bring down the shield of ice. As you talk to any customer in the beginning, they feel like you're there to get their money. They want to protect their money, so they have up what we call a shield of ice. That shield of ice is thick. That shield of ice is really, really cold. What we have to do is warm up, bring down that shield of ice. Most salespeople will tell you, you have to get them to trust you. I disagree with that. You can't get someone to trust you in 5 minutes. What we have to do is we have to get them to stop seeing a salesperson and start seeing a person. If they see a person just like them, that shield of ice starts to go down. How do you get the shield of ice to go down? Well, the easiest way is to get the customer to talking. What do people like to talk about the most? Themselves. If you can get the customer to talk about themselves, their kids, their family, where they work, where they're from, that shield of ice starts to come down. There's a few things we don't want to talk about. 1, religion. 2, politics. And 3, business. Stay away from business. Only talk about them. Let them do most of the talking. If you can ask them questions that probe them to speak about themselves, that's perfect. We want them talking about how many kids they have, how old they are, what schools they go to, what type of activities they're involved in. People love talking about their kids. Now, one of the things that we want to make sure is we stay away from business. Here's the reason why. If they're talking about business, then you start looking like a salesman again. We need this to go on until the shield of ice is down. What I want you to do as a salesperson is visualize that shield of ice in. And visualize you can see the person, but there's a block of ice between you. And so as this ice starts to come down, you're starting to see them clearer and clearer. That's when you know that it's now time to go to the second purpose of step number 1. Bring out the objections. This is totally different than most sales systems. We want the objections out early. We want them out as soon as we possibly can get them out. What this does, it gives us the rest of our presentation to overcome those before we give them the price. Most sales systems are designed to have the objections come out as you give them the price. We want them out before we give them the price so we can overcome them so they dare not give us the objection after we give them the price. Let me give you an example. It would be like this. Let's say you were gonna go, you met a guy like me, and this guy told you he could actually help you get more money back on your income taxes. And you went home, you told your wife, you were all excited. Hey, I met a guy, and he's gonna help me get money back on our income taxes. She said, how's he gonna do that? And what he said was, he's gonna make up a bunch of receipts, and even our dog Fluffy and our dog Buster, he's gonna make up birth certificates for them. And he's gonna help us get back a lot of money on our income taxes. Well, you go, the guy gives you all the receipts and the birth certificate. You put them in a box. You go and you see your accountant. You sit the box down and you talk to your accountant. You say, hey, how are you doing today? He says, I'm not doing very well. You say, what's wrong? So I'm just so frustrated with people. He says, what do you mean? He says, can you believe that I've got people coming in here with receipts, fake receipts and birth certificates for their dogs and cats? And he says, and they're getting in trouble. They're going to jail. I just can't even believe somebody would be that stupid to do that. And you're sitting there with that box of receipts. What do you think happens to that box of receipts and birth certificates? Well, you kick them under the table and they never come out. That's the philosophy of our system. If we take care of those objections up front, it makes the customer kick them up under the table and never bring them out after we give them the price. That's why we need these objections out up front. We have a 3-step process that we use to bring out the objections. It's a series of 3 questions. Each question is designed to do a certain thing. Question number 1, how long have you been thinking about doing your remodeling project? Now, Doesn't matter what they say. 1 year, 1 month, never thought about it. I've been thinking about it all my life. The answer doesn't matter. It gets them to thinking about the project. After we have them talking about everything else, now we want them thinking about the project. Also, it's gonna help us later to overcome that objection of, I wanna think about it. We're setting that up already, right up front. How long have you been thinking about your remodeling project? Once I have the answer to that question, I follow up with my second question. My second question is, what made you decide to do it today? Yes, I'm gonna say that again. What made you decide to do it today? The reason I want to ask that question is because now they're going to say, we're not doing it today because, and they'll tell you what their reasoning is, why they're not going to buy it today. Something such as, we're getting multiple estimates. We don't buy anything on the first day that we do it. I need to talk to my son about this before I make a decision. We pray on things before we do them. Any of those types of objections, I want to know what they are up front so that I can handle them throughout my presentation. Now, once I have the answer to that question, if I have my objection, now it allows me to strategize on how to overcome that objection. Now, sometimes what's going to happen is when you ask that question, what made you decide to do it today? They're not going to give you a complete objection. They're just going to say, we're not doing it today. And you need to know why. Well, one of the things we've learned is never use the word why, because it makes a customer feel pressure. It's confrontational. So instead of using why, our third question comes up. We found a way to release that pressure and still get the answer to the question why. We say, oh really? What makes you say that? That allows us to get the answer without the pressure. So let's review the three questions. First question, how long have you been thinking about doing your remodeling project? Next question, what made you decide to do it today? Third question, oh really? What makes you say that? The purpose of these questions is to bring out the objections so we can strategize to overcome these objections before we get to the price. The best way to master this is to role play, to practice. This is exactly what we teach throughout our presentation. The way to master it is to practice. Our biggest term is practice the way you play. What we're going to do now is we're going to role play this. I'm going to show you exactly how it should be done, and we're going to role play it, and you can practice it until you get it right. So let's do a role play. We're going to need a volunteer. Let's see, how about you, sir?
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Let's do a little role play here, okay? Pretty simple. Don't worry about it if you make a mistake. We're gonna practice till we get it right, okay? Now, the first question is, how long have you been thinking about doing your remodeling project? The second question is, what made you decide to do it today? Third question, oh really? What makes you say that? You must respond to the response, okay? All right, here we go. Start out with the first question. I'm gonna respond as the customer, and then if you mess up, we'll start over until we get it right. You ready?
Sure.
First question.
How long have you been talking about this project? Or how long have you wanted to do this project?
Okay, stop right there. All right, what's important to understand is we don't ask you to do many things word for word, but these questions must be word for word. It's not how long you've been talking about, but how long have you been thinking about? Very important, because we're gonna use this later in our presentation if a customer tells us they wanna think about it. So we must use those exact words. One more time. How long have you been thinking about doing your remodeling project? Second question, what made you decide to do it today? Third question, oh really? What makes you say that?
Got it.
Okay, all right, here we go.
How long have you been thinking about doing your remodeling project?
About 6 months.
And what made you decide to do it today?
We're not doing it today.
And what makes you say that?
Okay, now stop right there.
I
now,
forgot. Try to remember it all.
Okay, you're almost on there. Okay, now that was very, very good. What we need you to always try to understand is we have what we call pressure releasers in there. The words, oh really, is a pressure releaser. If I was to say to that customer, really? What makes you say that? It's almost like saying why, and it brings the pressure back. But what softens it is, oh really? What makes you say that?
Got it.
Okay, ready? Start over.
Start from the beginning?
Absolutely.
Okay. How have you been thinking about doing your remodeling project?
About 6 months.
And what made you decide to do it today?
Well, we're not doing it today now.
Oh, really? What makes you say that?
Okay, good. Now, a couple of things I need you to understand, okay? When you do this, there's a few things that's very, very important. Always, if you look here, you've got your hands crossed together. Always in an open posture. Always both feet planted firmly on the ground. Hands where the customer can see them. Always, as much as possible, just where the customer can see them. Remember, you're still a stranger, okay? And so if your hands are in your pockets, what's in your pockets? Your hands behind your back, what's behind your back? So what we must do is always try to make that customer as comfortable as possible. Okay? Try it one more time. Very, very good. Try it again.
Okay, perfect. How long have you been... sorry, I just need to remember it.
Now let me stop you right there, okay? I gave you a little talk right there just in the beginning, okay? That was on purpose. Why did I give you that talk? The reason I gave you the talk was I wanted you to take a few seconds away from that role play to make sure you really got it. And what happens is if you take a few seconds away from it, sometimes what happens is you'll understand you don't have it down because it's hard to remember what you said. So now we want to go back through it without any mistakes. Another thing that I don't want you to do is to say, What you're doing is you're giving yourself a second to think. I want you to take that out. We've got to be able to go through it. How long have you been thinking about doing your remodeling project? What made you decide to do it today? Oh, really? What makes you say that? All right, ready?
Okay.
Go.
How long have you been thinking about doing your remodeling project?
About 6 months.
And what made you decide to do it today?
We're not doing it today.
Oh, really? What makes you say that?
Great. Absolutely
right.
fantastic. If you practice that, no matter what their response is, you'll have an answer for it. What if it doesn't go perfect? What if that customer give you a response that's not an objection? For example, you ask that customer, how long you been thinking about doing your remodeling project? They say about 6 months. You say, well, what made you decide to do it today? They say, well, we just need to get it done. Or we saw you're having a sale, or your customer service called my house, or whatever they say. But it's not an objection. We have to get objections out. That's the purpose. So what do you do? How do you get it out? Well, we found that there's 5 words in the English language that makes a customer feel like they need to give you an objection. First word is today. The word today makes that customer say, oh, we're not doing it today. So in our system, anytime you hear us use the word today, that means we're looking for an objection. The second word is buy, B-U-Y. That's another thing. It's like they got to make a decision, and it makes them want to give you an objection. Third word, now. You see, all of those are about time. The next one is contract. Contract makes them want to give you that objection. And the last one will probably surprise you, but it's financing. Financing. Because that's another one of those terms about signing on the line and interest and those kind of. We found those 5 words make a customer want to give you an objection. So if you look at our question, what made you decide to do it today? There's that word, today, that makes them give us an objection. Well, if it didn't give us an objection, then we have to restate our question. And I guarantee you one thing. If you put 3 of those words into one sentence or one question, I guarantee you will get an objection. For example, if that customer says, well, you said, what made you decide to do it today? And because, oh, we just need to get it done. If I say, oh, I love it when people want to buy, let me go grab a contract. Guess what they're going to say? Oh, no, we're not buying anything today. And then you say, oh, really? What makes you say that? Make sense? Absolutely. All right, let's give it a shot.
Okay. So how long have you been thinking about doing your design project?
About 6 months.
Oh, and what made you decide to do it today?
Well, we're not gonna, I don't know if we're gonna buy it today now. I'm not sure we're gonna buy it today.
Okay, so then I get confused because that is an objection, right?
Well, is it? Why isn't he gonna buy it today?
Okay, so it's
So
the
what
same
should you
question.
say?
Oh, so why is that?
Not why, never why.
Right. Oh, so what makes you say that?
Oh, really? What makes you say
Really?
that?
What makes you say that?
Okay, you've got to be ready for any response now, okay? So sometimes you may have to say, oh, really, what makes you say that? Sometimes you may have to restate the question
Got it.
to get the objection out. You ready?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go.
So how long have you been thinking about doing your design project?
About 6 months.
And what made you decide to get started today?
Not get started
All
today.
right, sorry.
Because see, here's the deal. If you say get started today, they might think you're just talking about looking at it and picking out colors, not buying. That's why we got to say what made you decide to do it today. I need that objection. Okay? I like to look at it like this, okay? See, most people are afraid of objections. We want them. I look at objections like Skittles. Okay. See, we get these objections like Skittles, but we just eat them up. But too many Skittles will make you sick. So what we've got to be able to do is get the objections out, take care of them, but not get too many. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Here we go. All right, I'm gonna do it one more time for you, okay? All right, how long have you been thinking about doing your remodeling project? What made you decide to do it today? Oh, really? What makes you say that? Or if he says, hey, we just need to get it done. Then you're gonna go through and add in, you can say it however you like, add in 2 or 3 of the what we call objection getters, the 5 words.
Okay.
Ready? Go.
Absolutely. So how long have you been thinking about doing your remodeling project?
About 6 months.
And what made you decide to do it today?
Well, we just need to get it done, to tell you the truth.
Oh, that's great. So I'll tell you what, I can go get the contract and we'll get started.
Oh, no. We're not buying it today.
And what makes you say that?
Okay, all right, good. Very, very good, okay? That's what we're looking for. Don't forget your oh, really, because that's what softens it up. That's a very, very good job, though. All right, one more time.
Okay. How long have you been thinking about doing your remodeling project?
About 6 months.
And what made you decide to do it today?
We're not doing it today.
Really? Why? What makes you say that?
There you go. All right, one more time.
Okay.
Just got to get that little mistake out.
Okay.
One more time.
Okay. How long have you been thinking about doing your remodeling project?
About 6 months.
And what made you decide to get started?
What made you decide to do it today? All right,
Okay.
do it again.
How long have you been thinking about doing your remodeling project?
About 6 months.
And what made you decide to do it today?
We're not doing it today.
Oh, really? What makes you say that?
Great. Absolutely.
right.
There you go.
Okay.